everyone, Miss GoElectric here, and today I'm in San Diego, California because Nissan has invited me to experience the third generation 2026 Nissan LEAF. So in today's video, I'm going to go over the specifications and features, and I'm going to provide as much insight as I possibly can while I'm driving this vehicle, but this is going to be more of a first impression since I have limited time with it. So let's get into it.
Nissan's LEAF stands for Leading Environmentally Friendly, Affordable Family Vehicle. It originally launched in 2010 and remained a globally best-selling EV for nearly a decade until the Tesla Model 3 went into production. The second generation went on sale in 2018, and come 2022, I worked with Nissan of North America as a certified trainer by sharing best practices and fundamental EV education with their training team. I also contributed to Nissan Ariya educational programs where I drove an Ariya over 10,000 miles on track and visiting dealerships during all seasons. Although US sales of the Ariya will be discontinued in 2026, I recognize it as a good fit for many first-time EV owners with a price tag which was just a bit out of reach. I'll link my detailed Ariya review in the description below if you want to check that out. All this to say, the new LEAF, which shares a platform with the Ariya, is important for Nissan as the brand seeks to reestablish itself as a leader in electrification and return to profitability with an accessible EV which appeals to a broad market. Let's have a closer look to see if it could return the nameplate to glory.
Now, the first thing I want to talk about is size with the Nissan LEAF because it has changed slightly from the previous generation. So in this iteration, Nissan's actually calling this a crossover instead of a hatchback design. And you can definitely see that when you look at the proportions. But what makes this a little bit different than the previous generation is that this is slightly shorter and it has a little bit lower of a ground clearance, which was kind of surprising to me considering now that they're calling it a crossover. Now, Nissan has done a lot of work to redesign this vehicle, not only to make it look really great, but also because they wanted to improve the aerodynamics. And a few things that they've done in order to improve those aerodynamics from, say, the 0.29 drag coefficient that the old generation was to the 0.26 that it is now is these door handles. So now they are popping out, but once you walk away, they'll actually move in and be flush with the body of the vehicle. So that reduces drag there. And they've also incorporated that in the rear passenger doors as well. So they're up on the body side closer to the windows now. Another way they improve the aerodynamics is with this deck lid here. So it looks very unsuspecting, but there's actually a spoiler built in here so that the wind is navigated right up and over, and it helps improve that profile.
But this crossover does not have an available tow hitch receiver at launch. Owners who need to transport a storage box or bicycles can mount to the roof rails, but that aerodynamic drag will drastically reduce highway range. A motion-activated power liftgate is available on the top trim level. Other trims only offer the manual latch. The space opens up to 20 cubic feet with the seats up and 55.5 cubic feet when folded down. In this model, the divide and hide system helps keep things from sliding around and can serve as storage for the included portable charging equipment. Nissan told me that the device supports the full 240-volt, 7.2 kilowatt charging speeds supported by the onboard charger.
Now let's talk about the powertrain. This is going to include a 75 kilowatt hour battery at launch. It's actually a liquid cooled battery, which is great to see that Nissan has improved that. The previous system was passive, so basically that meant that as you were driving, the air that flowed over the battery would help cool it down. Now that this is liquid cooled and it's all sealed, it is going to be able to cool down and heat up the battery as temperatures vary. And basically what that means for the owner is that it's going to be optimized not only for driving performance, but also for charging performance, so you won't get overheating or anything like that. This 75 kilowatt hour battery is expected to get up to 303 miles of range, and depending on the trim level, it'll go anywhere between 200 and about 50 miles up to that 303 miles. That 75 kilowatt hour battery is going to be paired with a single motor that is up front. It's a new 3-in-1 design, so it has it all included, and it's going to produce 214 horsepower, and it has a little bit better torque than the previous generation. Now, Nissan is going to come out with an entry-level battery with 52 kilowatt hours, and that's going to be paired with a lower powered motor in the front still, but it's also going to provide up to 196 miles of range. Now on the driver's front fender is where you're going to find your J1772 port, and this is going to be utilized strictly for AC charging, or home charging as most people know it, level 2 charging. And this is going to max out at a peak rate of 7.2 kilowatts. Now I personally would like to see a little bit faster charging speeds there, but I think for most people it's going to satisfy their needs. They're going to plug it in and overnight it's going to charge to their desired amount. And I can see the benefits of them wanting to bring it down a little bit in order to save on costs. Now Nissan is no stranger to having 2 charge ports for AC charging and DC charging, and they have stuck with that same mentality here. On this passenger side, you're going to find the DC fast charging port, and this one is actually the North American charging system port for DC fast charging with a peak rate of 150 kilowatts, which means that you can charge on Tesla Supercharging stations. To note, there are limitations to that. So Tesla has made 4 versions of their supercharger dispensers, and newer EVs that are starting to make that transition and have partnered with Tesla to incorporate the NACS port are going to be able to charge on the version 3 and version 4 supercharger dispensers. So just be mindful that if you drive by and you see a supercharger, it might not be one that you can automatically utilize. Now, it's great that the placement is on this passenger side, because that means that you can pull into a supercharger and not have to park in a weird way in order to get access to one of the cables. Nissan is going to be selling an adapter that's $170, and that is going to allow you to go from the North American charging system port to a CCS port. And I personally would recommend, if you plan to do any kind of road trips, it's probably worth buying, because that gives you a lot more flexibility, and especially if you want to take in consideration different prices for different fast chargers, it's a good option to just have that in your wheelhouse, and also just to give you that peace of mind that if you do have to stop at a station and you don't have a supercharger nearby, you're going to be covered. But one great thing that they have incorporated with this is the standard plug-in charge, which basically means that you're going to be able to just plug in the vehicle at a supercharger and not have to worry about going through an app or swiping a credit card or anything like that. It makes it very seamless and easy. And you can set up all of that payment processing directly through the My Nissan app. But this port is strictly only designed to have DC fast charging capability. So you cannot plug in a home charger into this and expect to get those slower rates. That's really what the J1772 is for. Now, something to consider when you're looking at the Nissan LEAF is if you live in a climate that is going to experience winter conditions, you may want to look into the higher end trim levels, because that's where you're going to get more efficient cabin temperatures with the heat pump system, which is going to allow you to basically improve your range over time, especially in no matter what weather conditions that you have. But also, you have to take in consideration that you can get an optional battery heater. Now, the battery heater is about $300, so I personally think it's worth opting for that, because if you are in a climate that has harsh winter conditions and you're going to need to use the public fast chargers, it's going to get you at a warmer temperature much quicker, so that you don't have to sit at the charger for a longer period of time. The Nissan LEAF also has what's called vehicle to load, and essentially that means that you can export the power from the battery to other devices, and there's a couple ways that you can do that. For one, if you get the Platinum Plus trim like we have here, there's going to be an outlet in the rear cargo area that you can use, and then there's also an adapter that they're providing that's about $280, and that will plug into the J1772 port here, and that's going to allow you to power up other devices using that adapter. The total system is going to be able to deliver 3.45 kilowatts, but in particular, the adapter is going to be able to deliver 1,500 watts. All right, now that we've gone over the exterior and some of the specifications, I think it's time to take it out on the road. Okay, so we're about to pull out, and the first thing that I notice when I'm sitting in the new LEAF is that it does have a push button to start, so they have continued to bring that to the LEAF so that it makes it a little bit more familiar for people who aren't in the more modern EVs that don't even have a button to start. You just sit down and it goes. So what they've also done in the new LEAF is they have made sure to create a lot more space in the center console area. It's a flat floor now that it's on this dedicated EV platform, platform. It's actually the CMF platform, which is what the Ariya rides on as well. So you get a nice open area down here. It creates more space, but they've also reconfigured the console here to be a little bit more practical in my opinion, and it's very functional. So they have cup holders here, storage space as far as putting a phone up front or in the wireless charger. They do have one wireless charger and a little bit of storage in here. And what they've also done is moved the gear shifter from the center console area up onto the dash, and it's all push button activated. So it makes it really simple and easy for you to move through those gears. Now, one thing I want to point out is this riding position. The previous generation of the Leaf, it kind of felt like you were sitting down in it, but with this new generation, I feel as if I'm up a little bit higher, so I have pretty decent visibility. The rear window in the back is kind of small, but it's enough to see what I need to see. As far as the seat comfort goes, the materials are nice and comfortable. Nissan says that this is their tailor fit material, so it is 65% recycled materials, and they say it's really easy to clean, and I can imagine that's the case. It does look like it is a material that would wipe up pretty easily. Now, a material that is up on the dash, maybe not so much. I have gotten a little bit of dirt on the top part here where there's fabric already, so that may be something that gets dirtier quicker, and I don't know if that's going to be as easy to clean. The steering feels nice and smooth and easy to maneuver. Now, there are several different drive modes, and that is easy to adjust on the dash here next to the push button gear selecting. And the drive modes, you have Eco mode, standard, sport, and a personal mode that is more of basically a customized mode that you can make adjustments to. I've been riding around a lot in the Eco mode, which basically just ensures that your acceleration isn't too aggressive so that you're not using as much energy. I thought maybe the eco mode would also modify the behavior of the regenerative braking, but so far I'm noticing it has not. And something interesting about the regenerative braking is that they've gone away from e-pedal, which is a true one pedal driving experience, and they've actually moved to what's called e-step. It's very similar to what they have in the Ariya, but essentially it's going to slow you down quite a bit with this regenerative braking, but it will bring you to a coast and not a complete stop. So there's no option for having a one pedal driving feel here.
I think they've done a great job on backing into a parking spot right now with this surround view monitor. So the surround view monitor provides a lot of visibility, and I really love it. I think it's a good, crisp, clear picture, and I like that they have all of the lines around the vehicle showing where your wheels are pointed and where they're projected to go, and giving you some distance lines to tell you how close you're getting to things. But one thing that they've added on here I thought was really nice is a hood view. So essentially that means that you'll be able to see when you're lining up your vehicle in a car wash exactly where those front wheels are aligning and kind of give you an invisible angle through the hood. You know, the performance of this feels very similar to what I experienced driving around in the Ariya. It is extremely comfortable. They've done a great job of providing a very smooth feel on the accelerator pedal, and as well as the braking feel. It is not a lot of pressure that you have to put down on the pedal. It's smooth. And as far as regenerative braking goes, you can change those settings to decide how aggressive you want it to be. So you can do that a couple of ways. On the higher end trim levels, they have paddle shifters, and that is going to basically allow you to increase or decrease the level of regenerative braking feel and how aggressive it is just by using those paddle shifters. If you don't have the paddle shifters and you choose to opt for a more entry-level trim, you're going to be able to make those adjustments through the touchscreen display. And they also added the e-step button to the dash, so if you just want to set it and forget it, you can press that button and keep it on the most aggressive form of regenerative braking that they offer. So one interesting thing about these steering wheel buttons is that on the bottom right side, there are two bars. And basically what that does is it allows you to select either through the driver display, that menu, if you want to scroll through the menu options, or if you want to select the center screen menu and move through those different menu items through the steering wheel button. So I think that's kind of an interesting adjustment that they have made so that you can have controls of both the driver display here and the center display all through your fingertips. This also will have standard driver assistance features. Nissan calls it their Safety Shield 360. So you'll have intelligent cruise control, which allows you to set a gap in between you and the vehicle in front of you, and it will maintain that gap with that cruise control set. And it also has lane keeping functions, so it will vibrate the steering wheel if you go outside of the lane, and it will add a little bit of torque to the steering wheel in order to keep you in the lane. But Nissan has not included the option for the ProPilot Assist 2.0, so this does not have the hands-free option. And there's no driver monitoring here, so there's no ability for it to have, say, an over-the-air update in order for you to get that in the future. The Leaf also has blind spot monitoring, so there's a little triangle in the mirror that will illuminate and become orange if someone's in your rear quarter panel, so you don't get over into the next lane if someone is there. Now, this particular model is the Platinum Plus, so this has absolutely every single option that you could imagine. And one of those options is the head-up display. I think it's great to be able to have that visibility of your next turn navigation. It also has speed limit signs here. It tells you how fast you're going, and it also indicates how many miles into your next turn with the street name on it. Now, we've been driving all day and we've gone on the highway. We've hit speeds going up to about 65 miles per hour, and we've been driving for several hours. And so far we've been averaging 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour. So I would say efficiency wise, more recently I have been driving a little bit slower, but I think that the efficiency is going to be pretty nice on this, especially in these types of conditions. This is San Diego, so today it is 76 degrees, so it's kind of perfect use case to optimize range. Now, there's also a lot of great functionality when it comes to this Google system, because certain trim levels, it will have Google built in, which means you get the Google Assistant and you get the route planning and the navigation system, which will tell you exactly what charging stations you need to stop at when you go on a road trip. And that system in particular has some details as far as what kind of charging station you're going to, what the max power rating is, and it's going to do all of that work for you, which I think is really nice. But the great thing is that this also has flexibility because you have Android Auto, so you have a lot of third-party apps that you can use. It has Apple CarPlay, so you can use third-party apps on that as well. And it also has Amazon Alexa built in, so you do have some controls that you can use with voice commands in order to actually make some changes to maybe your smart home. You have it linked up with your Amazon account, and you have your lights at your home that are connected to Alexa, and you can just speak those commands to the vehicle and it will be able to make adjustments to what you have going on in your smart home, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's a great and interesting choice that Nissan has decided to incorporate some things that I would consider more luxurious, like this panoramic roof. With just the press of a button, it can go opaque and it looks really cool, and it's actually really functional as well. I mean, this is very nimble and fun to drive. And I'm just in standard mode. I just think that Nissan has done such a great job with the new Leaf. It's very comfortable to drive, and I think it is user-friendly enough for a lot of people for this to be a first-time EV. Well, I have a supercharger plugged into my destination, so we're gonna go over there and we're gonna see if we can plug it in and really just check it out and see how it performs. I'm at 43% state of charge, so by the time we get there, maybe I'll be closer to 40, and we'll get a little bit of an idea of how that performance is going to look. In this particular model, it's a pre-production, so I'm sure that the account hasn't been set up yet for this vehicle to have a payment associated with the My Nissan app so that plug and charge can work. So I had to start this session using my Tesla account, but in the future,
people that buy this car and attach their My Nissan account to their Leaf is going to be able to use that plug and charge technology. All right, it looks like it's not climbing anymore. It's at 127 kilowatts at 47% state of charge. So that's pretty good because the peak rate, oh, it's climbing a little. It's at 139 now. So it's pretty good considering the peak rate is 150 kilowatts. Now I want to see what the screens on the inside are indicating. Okay, so it's giving us information about the charging speed here. It says 126 kilowatt. I peaked at 139 just for a brief moment. I am at 50% state of charge. It's really great to see that they give you the ability to make adjustments on when to stop exporting your power. It's great. On the center screen, it tells me my state of charge over here. It gives me the amount of miles that it's projecting based on my behavior, my driving behavior. And then it also lists down here how many kilowatts I'm pulling from this Tesla Supercharger. And it also is telling me to get to 100%, it would be a 48-minute session. So that's great that they are providing a lot of this information. And also on the top here where it says that you can set your charge limit to 80%, it's suggesting that it would take 14 minutes to get there. So I love that they have all of this information now during the charging session, because in previous electric vehicles that Nissan has had, they haven't provided a lot of information. There's also the home button, which takes you to see all the different widgets, and you can move these around. So if you want to prioritize some over the others, or say in the wintertime you want the battery heater to be closer towards the front of your menu screen, then you can adjust those so that it's easy for you to turn that on and off. The battery heater in particular is pretty much the same as how it was with the Ariya, where you have to turn it on manually. You have redundant climate control, so if you want to make those adjustments through the touch screen, you can. There's also this touchpad that's very similar to what was integrated into the Ariya, so if you just want to make quick controls up and down to your temperatures, you can do that here. Activate the heated seats, that's available only on the Platinum Plus, along with the heated steering wheel. Not only do you get the heated seats up front, but they're also available in the rear seats as well.
Speaking of the rear passenger seats, I'm 5'11" and I fit comfortably in the back seats behind the driver's seat, which is positioned to accommodate me. Nissan also added a driver-only button, which conserves energy by only directing climate-controlled air at the driver.
All the adjustments for your driver assistance settings are in the driver display, so you can change the lane centering assist, turn things on and off there. You can make adjustments to the sensitivity of certain technologies. If you want to turn it into that personal drive mode, you can make adjustments to the acceleration, the regenerative braking, and the steering settings through here, and that will save it to that personal profile so that when you switch it to that drive mode, it's going to remain and keep those settings. The Platinum Plus trim actually comes with the ambient lighting adjustments, so if you want to change the colors, if you want the vehicle to change the lighting that associates with your ProPilot Assist system, it's going to be white when it is not engaged, and when it is engaged in sensing and the system is active, then it will turn green for you to let you know that. So it's a good visual indicator for you if you don't want to rely on just looking down at the driver display or the head-up display. I've been sitting here for a few minutes now and I'm at 72% state of charge. I'm at 67 kilowatts as far as how much energy is coming in, which I think that is pretty fair. I'm getting close to that 80% mark, so I would, hopefully have enough energy to continue on. And for me personally, where I'm going, I do have enough energy, so I'm going to take off here pretty soon. Well, I think Nissan did a really great job on this third generation 2026 Nissan LEAF, but I'm really excited to see how the competition heats up and how this is going to stack up against the new Chevy Bolt, the more affordable Tesla model, and even what Hyundai and Kia are going to be coming out with in the affordable space. So I'd love to hear you guys' take on it and which one you're looking forward to most. And what did you think of the Nissan LEAF? Well, if you enjoyed this video, we hope that you will share this video online and please consider subscribing. Until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.